Hello everybody and welcome to the talk on how to make space for your child. And we have the amazing Aislinn Marek here, and Aislinn is a mother of two and is also a person-centered counsellor with over 18 years experience and has created the Calm Within, and she also runs Relax Kids classes and is Charge Up and Baby Mindful, as well as being a Relax Kids Charge Up and Baby Mindful trainer. So welcome, Aislinn.
Thank you. Yes, so, Ash.
Yeah. So first question is, what does it mean to hold space for your child, for somebody?
Okay. Yeah, so the idea of holding space is essentially about being there for somebody else, and the important bit about it is you're with them, but you're there for them. So you're very much kind of putting yourself to the side in that moment or that session, or that event, whatever it might be. So you're being there for that other person. It's about offering unconditional support without wanting anything back in return or having an agenda. So if you think about the idea of active listening, something that we talk about in our training sessions with coaches, it's about listening to the other person without thinking about what you're going to say or without waiting for your turn to jump in. So you're very much there, you're hearing them, you're listening to them, and you're doing that without judgment or without trying to fix it or control things. And this is really tricky to do, because when you are a caring person, when you are supportive or a helper, what you want to do is to make it better. And that often means sort of wanting to jump in to fix things. What can I do? How can I help? But actually, that's very much a kind of doing, helping. Holding space is about taking that step back and empowering that other person. So if you jump in with, let me give you advice or let me do it for you, actually that's quite disempowering, because you're sort of sending the message of, I can do it better than you can, or I know better than you. So the idea of holding space is about taking a step back and being there for that person. You can offer gentle guidance, you can, talk with them, absolutely. But it's about really allowing them to express how they feel or make their own choices. And it's about really developing their own self-awareness and reaching their potential. And for children, this is really, really important, because it's all about helping them to express their emotions, to regulate their emotions. And it's, for me, I guess, from the counselling background, it's an absolutely fundamental part of what I do. So with the person-centred approach, it's very much about having unconditional positive regard. So it's there saying, I'm with you, I'm not here to judge you, I'm not here to tell you what to do, I'm here to support you and hold you and keep you safe. And we talk a lot about, when we're talking about children's emotional regulation, Donald Winnicott, one of the the leading paediatricians and psychoanalysts, talk about the idea of the holding environment. So it's about children having space to play, to grow, to learn, and they're supported, but we're not intrusive with that support. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So if you were to do this with your child, give me an example of one of your children and maybe a scenario or a situation or a couple that you've actually give me an example when you've done it well and when you haven't done it so well.
Okay. Absolutely. And this is the thing, it's, I guess with anything with parenting, it's the idea of it's something to work towards. It's an ideal. We talk again a lot in Baby Mindful and in Relax Kids about kind of the good enough parenting, and this is very much about, you know, we do our best. So we're not perfect, and I will be the first to hold my hands up and say, you know, yeah, sometimes I get it right, sometimes not so much. So with your own children, essentially it's about being supportive, being boundaried, but accepting of them as individuals. So I can certainly give an example of my youngest. It would be a few years ago now. We were out shopping, you know, just normal, boring grocery shopping, and he all of a sudden got really, really upset. And I think he had some words at this point, but not a great deal. And I just could not figure out what was the matter. Was he hurt? Was, you know, had something happened? He just completely went into meltdown, really distressed. So in that moment, for me, holding the space for him was allowing him to express that. I actually couldn't fix it or make it better because I didn't know what the problem was. So it was about being supportive, in this case, literally holding him, and using lots of, you know, the techniques that we look at in Relax Kids, and right across, you know, Baby Mindful up to Charge Up, about grounding myself and managing my breathing, slowing my reactions down. So I was coming to him from a space of being very calm, very connected, and allowing him to express his emotions and know that that was okay. Once he had regulated by tuning into my breathing and slowing down, I was able to work out what the problem was. And the problem was that I had picked up the milk with the green top, and his favourite colour was red, and he wanted the red top milk. So it just, all of a sudden, that was, you know, that was what set him off. It wasn't right. But that kind of, to me, is obviously, you know, I can see, well, why is that important? And it wasn't to me, but to him it was. And this is the really important thing, that holding space for your child means acknowledging where they're at. So not being dismissive about what their worries or their frustrations are. Even to us, you know, it's like, really, the colour of the top of the milk? But actually to him it was important. So it's about recognising that and being there with him in that moment. And what that meant was that then we were able to walk home from the shops quite happy. He was, you know, he was playful. We were looking, I think, at the leaves on the path, and, you know, and we got home and we were calm and we were settled and we were happy. If I'd gone the other way and tried to kind of control that meltdown and, you know, really be like, right, come on, you know, we've got to carry on with the shopping and don't be so silly. And what would have happened is he would have carried on. I'm quite sure he would have got worse, you know, those emotions would have got bigger. And then I would have felt that too. And I can see we would have been, you know, coming out into the car park, me up here, him up here, and it would have been a difficult journey home. So what happened in that situation was he was allowed to see, actually, it's okay for me to express my upset, my confusion, my disappointment, and the world doesn't fall apart. It's okay. And the more you do that for your child, the more they're going to be able to feel safe with you. And actually, that's really important, because then when the bigger things come, you know, as the children get older, those issues might become actually more significant. And it allows them to see, actually, I can be safe with you. I can let myself go, and you will hold me and you will keep me boundaried. So yeah, I mean, as I say, I don't get it right all the time, because I'm a human being, and sometimes, it may be, I was thinking, with my daughter might come home from school and be upset because she's had a falling out with somebody, and I'm trying to juggle, we need to get on with homework, I need to put the wash on, I need to get dinner sorted, and I'm not listening. I'm not there. I'm my business, yeah, and all those other things. And I'm not there with her. I'm not listening. I'm not paying attention. I'm not giving her we talked about that unconditional positive regard is very much about, this is what's important to you, and it should have my attention and my respect. So yeah, sometimes I don't get it right, and that will often result in her becoming more upset, or as you do when someone's not really listening to you, and you're upset about something.
And I'm guessing those are the nights that you have a larger glass of wine. They are more tricky, and they do make you kind of help yourself. But again, this is really, really important, that actually when you're in that moment, as I say, it's not about you. So I might have got it wrong, and I might, even me saying, I'm really sorry I wasn't listening, I had all this to do, actually that's about me. That's still not tuning into where she's at. So it is really tricky, but it's very much about you putting you to the side and really focusing in on where they're at. And I think what's really important in doing this with your children is, as I say, it allows them to make mistakes. It allows them to fail. It allows them to get things wrong, knowing that you're there to support them. The example I'll often give is about when our children are learning to walk, that initially we hold them all the time, then they start to crawl, or my niece at the moment is she's just rolling everywhere she wants to get. She's not crawling, but we allow them that, and then they start to toddle, and then they start to walk. And when they fall down, we don't tell them off. We comfort them, or we praise them. Well done, you did really well, and then we get them to do it again. So when our children have an emotional meltdown, when they are upset, it's really important that we're there and we listen, and we, as I say, So you almost see that, imagine it in your head as if they have had a fall. So it's like an emotional tumble. Yeah. And so if you reframe it like that, you see it in a way that, oh, of course I'm going to be there for you. I wouldn't sort of laugh or leave you on the road if you fell down off your bike or had a tumble. I'd be straight there. So it's the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, again, it's that when they're crossing the road, for example, we teach them, we might hold their hand, or we get them to stop and look and listen. But eventually we have to make, they have to be allowed to make that journey themselves, and we allow them to do that. And sometimes they don't look, and what do? What on earth are we doing? Why didn't you look? Because we're worried, because we're upset. But actually in that moment, they've made a mistake, and we need to take a step back. So it's thinking about allowing them, giving them the guidance and the support, but then kind of coming back to that Winnicott's holding environment, about it being unintrusive, so we can give them options, give them choices, but it's really important to allow them to make their own decisions, even if they're not the ones we would choose for them. And I'm thinking particularly around teens here, we really want them to follow a path or pick the right subjects as far as we're concerned, but it's important that actually we allow them to be empowered to make their choices, and know that actually if it doesn't go according to plan, they've got you, you've got them, you're there for them, and they can come to you and talk to you. So it's really important when we think about our teens to be thinking, right from day one. You know, what are we doing to get into that habit of holding space for our children?
So in terms of holding space, the actual process, you wouldn't particularly, it is a question that it would happen then and there. It's not like you set up a little space, a corner.
No, I think
it's an ongoing process.
It's absolutely, and I think it's important kind of to think about it in different ways. So you've got, I guess, kind of an ongoing process, as you say, of you know, you have your boundaries, you have your guidance, you know, you're supporting your children day to day. I think the specific instances that you know, kind of you call to mind are more around where the child is struggling emotionally, particularly, you know, that we think about that that holding space for them. So sometimes it might be, you know, as I say, they come in from school and, you know, something's happened, and we need to be really mindful about how we do that. So I guess it's like anything, you know, we talk about the relaxation techniques. There should be something that we're doing day to day, something that forms part of our you know, general living or our daily routine. But also then you're going to need times where you use them more consciously and as an intervention, if you like. I hope that makes sense.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And so in terms of relaxation, would you suggest to parents to do a weekly relaxation? Because I think having that ongoing relaxation is giving them the tools, isn't it, to so they can so would you do something like a weekly relaxation or more often?
I mean, I think for me, when I'm talking with you know, with parents about kind of how often to do it, I will very much say, you know, it's great if the children come to a class. Obviously that's all changed at the moment, but you know, if it's an online session or if they can, you know, go to a class, that would be fantastic. But actually it's not just a standalone session, it's about incorporating that into, you know, really daily life. So thinking about, you know, our breathing strategies that we use, or it may be, you know, bringing in elements of the massage, or thinking about daily affirmations. So really, you know, in order for it to be effective, it's something to practice every day. So again, you know, with my own children, we'll talk about it's important to read every day, or it's important, you know, to practice their spellings or their times tables on a regular basis. It's important to practice our daily hygiene, you know, brushing our hair, brushing our teeth. So why not bring in those relaxation strategies at the same time? So as you're brushing your hair, say an affirmation in the mirror, or you know, while you're putting your child to bed, depending on their age, obviously, bringing in you know, I'll often do like a massage with, you know, my little boy particularly loves the visualization. So we, you know, I know them all off by heart now, Marnetta, hearing you go through them every night. But you know, we'll incorporate that with a massage as well, and that really helps to help him regulate for sleep. I think the difficulty is when we as parents get the importance of it, but our child is reluctant to engage or finds that difficult. And that's one of the questions parents will often ask me is, you know, this is great, and you've done this work with them, and you've recommended this, but actually they won't do it, you know, or I can see they're upset and I'm trying to get them to breathe with me, but they're really resistant. What do I do? And this for me is where the idea of holding space in that moment is really, really important, because you are truly doing it. You're sitting with them. You are sitting with them as they are, unconditionally, without needing anything back. I guess the only agenda would be their well-being. So you're not trying to take their worry away. You're not trying to take their frustration or anger, because it's important. It's telling them, it's informing them, I don't like what's happening at the moment. This is a really important thing for them to sit with, because if they don't, what happens is we push it away. And of course we want to, as parents, we want to take it away. The hardest thing, I think, is to see your child in pain, whether it's physically or emotionally. Of course we want to take it away. But in the same way that if they broke their leg or even cut their leg, you can put a plaster on it, but it doesn't make it go away. So how do you sit with them? And this is the idea that you're creating a safe space for them to show their emotion. So the biggest thing, and probably the hardest thing, is not to take it personally, because it's not about you. They will tell you they hate you. They will scream at you. They may even lash out at you. But this is where this tricky bit of putting yourself outside for a moment is really important, because it's not about you. So let go of judgment. When we talked before about when have I done it well and when have I not, this is important, to let go of the judgment of them and of yourself. Okay, so this, you might be upset, you might be worried, you might be questioning, am I doing a good enough job? What have I done? Why is my child so distressed? But it's not about you. So just try and put that to one side. And as I said before, it's about that grounding of you. So using your breath to be calm, to slow that heart rate. Ground yourself. Think about your boundaries. And this is really important, again, that you can be supportive and acknowledge their frustration without breaking the rules. So go back to the example of the milk. I wasn't going to change that, because that wasn't what I was getting. Or they might be frustrated that they can't have the iPad, or they might be, devastated because it's raining and you want to go for a picnic. You can't necessarily change that, either because it's not within your power, like with the weather, or because actually you've set a boundary and it's important that that's adhered to. So you can keep the boundary, but still allow them to express the frustration and know that that's okay. And as I've said, it's kind of, essentially you're letting them know, we get overwhelmed. Sometimes it feels like the world is falling apart. We can't manage those emotions. And that's okay, because I've got you. I'm not going to let anything happen to you.
And so when you show you're listening, and do you often feedback, I can see that you feel, and you literally label that emotion?
Yeah. So it's modelling for them. So it's modelling compassion. It's modelling understanding. It's naming those emotions. And it's allowing them to see, do you know what, this is okay. It's okay to let go. And then the more that you do that, and the more, so when they have that meltdown and when they feel overwhelmed, if they are met with calm and control and compassion, each time that will get a little bit less, and they will learn, actually, this feeling is important and this feeling is okay, but it doesn't have to overwhelm me. And the more that you can do that for them, and that they learn to accept those emotions rather than fear them, because that's one of the biggest things, is when children get so worried or angry that they feel, I got really scared, or it was too big, or, and I love the monster emotion, the monster handbook for that, being able to explain, actually these emotions are really important for what they tell us about what we're experiencing, and they're okay, but we can be in control. So yeah, very much so, naming the feelings without necessarily telling them what to do. So as you say, you know, particularly like in with counselling, it will very much be a reflection of, I can see that you're frustrated, I can see that that's upset you. You're not judging them, you're not telling them what to do. So you're empowering them because you're helping them learn, but you're not taking their control away.
No, and you're allowing for that emotion. You're holding space for that emotion to be witnessed, which is really important. And I think because as adults we will hide those emotions, or we will hide the darker sides of us because we don't want to witness it, because we think it's shameful and we think those parts of us are really bad. So we don't want to don't get angry, you know, I don't get angry. And so because nobody, you know, maybe we haven't been witnessed in the right way. I also want to say also that, you know, this is a lovely thing to do for friends as well, or other adults, partners, any adults, holding space and allowing for adults to sit with their emotions.
Absolutely. And that's,
that was,
I was going to say that kind of, you know, it's really important actually, because then when you think about parents, they're holding space for their child, but actually who is holding space for them? So thinking about actually parents thinking about their own support network. So maybe they have a friend or a relative, or maybe it's a colleague, or actually maybe it's a professional. So maybe it's a health visitor, or a family support worker, or a counsellor, that it's okay for them to let go, and it's okay for them to feel the feelings that they're having, you know, and to be able to express that. And thinking about, in order to hold space for somebody else, you need to be able to be grounded. You need to have had the experience of sitting with your own feelings as well, and to have been able to express those without judgment. So it's really important, you know, we talk a lot with parents about filling your cup and how do you recharge, and, you know, how do you look after yourself. So that's really, really important, that actually parents holding space for their child are also held, that there's somebody holding space for them, and that's really okay.
Absolutely. I mean, and if you think about tribes, North American, African tribes, this is something that they would do in a circle. So women would get together, and not necessarily in, you know, in a step, like it would be a set time, and this is becoming more popular now, where women particularly are sitting, and there are men's circles, and you would just go around the room, and when someone needs to say how they're feeling either in this moment or this week, and amazing stuff comes up. You know, you have massive release of tears or frustrations, and everybody's holding that person in the holding in the space, and to be witnessed by a group of people. It was something that traditional tribes would do, and it's something that but it is becoming more popular now, which is interesting, I find.
Absolutely. And that's, I guess, the important thing there is that they're saying, we are here for you. And that's the thing, you know, with parents, and say, kind of just thinking about when a child isn't engaging, to actually kind of just be, and to say, I am here for you when you need me. Or, you know, sometimes you might be able to connect with them physically and hold them or hug them, or, you know, rub their back, and particularly when they're little. You know, as they grow, it might be just the acknowledgement of, you know, I'm not going to tell you what to do. And actually sometimes voicing, I'm not here to judge you. You know, I respect you and I respect your choices, but I am here if you want to talk to me. And it's opening that up, so that they know they can come to you. You know, we might not, let's be honest, we might not always approve. We might not always think they're doing the right thing. But actually, it's their decision, it's their choice, and it's about them knowing. And this is where I think, you know, the unconditional part comes in. When we say we love our children unconditionally, it's about saying, you know, whatever you do, I am here. And that's really, really empowering for somebody to experience.
Yeah. Amazing. And just finally, you mentioned the Monster Handbook, the Relax Kids one. How have you used, or how could parents use a book like that, the Monster book, to help children manage these very big, difficult feelings? Have you used it either in your counselling or one-to-ones, or with your own children?
Yeah, I mean, I use it all the time, and I think, in fact,
it's
she says,
it's
on the bookshelf. It's on the bookshelf. So this is the Monster Handbook, and I think what's lovely about it is that you've got it's got sections in it that the children can write in themselves. So it can be, you've got the kind of general, this is what anger feels like, or this is what sadness feels like, but then there's space for them to explore that for themselves. What does my anger look like? What does my sadness look like? And either, you know, parents can do a very subtle, I'll leave it on the side and you can have a look at it yourself, or it may be something that you can look at together. And I think being a parent, not being afraid to say, oh, actually, I've learned something from this as well. You know, oh, look, this is a really good breathing exercise for when you feel frustrated. I think the biggest thing for me is the fact that it gives children permission. It normalizes those big emotions and it gives them permission to feel them. And as you say, to not be ashamed. So I think either choosing, you know, if there's a particular emotion that children are finding challenging to sit with, or to feel in control of, to look at that particular section of the book. Or it may be that it's something, you know, I've used it where I've worked through a number of different, you know, they're called the you know, the worry monster or the anger monster, and we've looked at a couple of those with children. But also I've looked at them as a group. So, okay, here's your anger monster. Who does he hang out with? You know, well, he hangs out with the worry monster, or he hangs out with, you know, the jealousy monster. And again, it's the impact that different emotions have on each other. But as I say, it's all about normalizing it, and that it's okay. We all have these feelings, and it's about us as parents being able to sit with our child's emotion
and hold that space. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Ash. That was really useful. And big feelings and holding space, and also holding space for ourselves, giving ourselves some time. So thank you. Amazing.
Thank you very much. Lovely.